Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our beautiful Saturday morning, June 2nd. Nice and sunny, plus 17 degrees, and only going to get warmer. Today, we are going to head out for a motorcycle test ride. We're going to ride the 2018 Honda Goldwing. You might be saying to yourself, but Daryl, you have a beautiful bike there right now, and I do. A buddy of mine is test riding bikes for his purchase for next year, so I figured since I'm going to be there supporting him, I might as well ride a bike. I'm not in the market right now, but I've gone through a lot of bikes and I'm always ready to switch. I'm looking for something potentially in the future, 7 years from retirement, that will be a little more comfortable for my wife, the passenger. Put her a little more in the lap of luxury as she deserves. A couple weeks ago, I rode the 2018 Harley-Davidson Ultra Classic, an absolutely beautiful bike. What's not so beautiful is the $36,500 that they want for it. But it was a beautiful bike, would be very comfortable for a passenger. So we're going to Riverside Suzuki in St. Albert. Let's go check out a bike. So as I said, we're riding to Riverside Honda this morning, where a buddy's going to be test riding some bikes, so I figured I'd start my searching process, possibly for a retirement bike. Don't get me wrong, this V-Strom 1000 seems to be the perfect bike. Wonderful ergonomics, more than enough power, lots of luggage space, although it would be better if I was to put the GV Trekker side cases, the aluminum ones, to have a top-loading case that would have just a little more room. It's been a wonderful bike. A couple of things that it's missing that I would really like in a retirement bike that I think would make cruising with my wife a little more comfortable. And some things that we're looking for in the Goldwing are a electrically adjustable windscreen, so it could be lower in the city and higher on the highway to give you that little more protection. A little bigger gas tank. I mean, ideally I'd like to have something between 5.5 to 6.5 gallons, or say 25 to 30 liters. I realize that the new Goldwing does not fit that criteria, but there's many other criteria that it does meet. Electronic cruise control, I think, would be a must for longer trips. Definitely helps with the comfort. A big cushy saddle, either offered by the stock bike or to be available to be purchased after. I know my wife really likes having passenger floorboards and a wraparound backrest on a trunk. She does find that some of the smaller trunks with just the piece of plastic padding, such as on my V-Strom, pushes on the back a little bit, and that the wraparound backrest is a little more comfortable. Also, that way she can shift her weight around and fidget just as a driver does to find that comfortable spot. Just so you know where I'm coming from today, I am not a technical expert on these bikes by any means, and I don't pretend to be. I'll be looking at this from the point of view of just a regular Joe Blow guy. What do I like? I'll let you know what I like about the bike. Is it comfortable? Is it not? Does it meet all the needs I have? If you want the technical specs, you can look those up on the good old internet. For myself, I'm 6 feet tall and 190 pounds now. I have a 34-inch inseam, in case you're wondering, would this bike fit me the same way as it does Daryl? Some of the bikes that I've had in the past, just to remind you of a little information about myself, is I've had sport bikes, FZ6. I've had numerous cruisers, a Honda VTX 1800 or 1300, I can't remember, a Vulcan 900, a Nomad 1700, Victory Cross Country, a Suzuki C90T Boss, V-Strom 650 for a short period of time, and now a V-Strom 1000. So I've really ridden all types of bikes. I've been riding for about 11 years, and in that 11 years I've generally covered about 33 to 35,000 kilometers a year, and in a year or a season here we're looking at 5 to 6 months. So more riding than most, not as much as some people who are retired. So a bike that has a long warranty, a comprehensive warranty, a bike that has the ability to put lots of miles on it, and a bike that has a good dealer network are going to be paramount to me, because as I have stated in previous videos, you know, if you break down, you don't want to have it towed hundreds of miles to get to the, or kilometers, to get to the nearest dealership. And at the same time, you want there to be dealerships available if, God forbid, you have an accident and have to have the bike fixed. So, with that in mind, we'll see you at the dealership. So as we drive up to Riverside Honda, a couple of other things I forgot to mention on my wish list would be top opening side luggage. I mean, it's not a deal breaker as long as the luggage has a large volume, but top loading is definitely easier than side. The other thing would be the ability to either have the bike come with, or the ability to purchase it as an accessory, heated grips. Because I'm getting older and I like comfort. So there it is, the 2018 Honda Goldwing. Should provide lots of comfort for my wife. Looks like a pretty good seating position. Again, I'm not going to go over all the technical specs. I know they redid the front suspension, the front fork, redid the flat 6 motor, redid the whole chassis, all the body work. The bike lost about 100 pounds. Unfortunately, it lost about a gallon of gas space, but they say with the more efficient motor, you get the same mileage. The biggest difference is that they lost a lot of luggage space apparently as well. So we'll see how that goes. It's a beautiful looking bike. We'll see you on the road. Okay, so here we are getting ready to go out on the 2018 Goldwing manual transmission. Has a beautiful looking dash, a very nice TFT screen for the navigation. Shows your gear, modes, all of your rider info, trips, ranges. That's Spencer, he's our leader. And away we go. Where's the turn signals? Such a complicated bike, I can't even find the turn signals. We'll look for them as we get on the highway. Oh, there we go. We found them. Everything is so small and compact. So we'll move this windshield. It's fully adjustable, as it shows here. We'll move it to where I'm looking over it. See how that is on the highway. So this is a 6-speed, I believe. Sorry for the jerkiness of the camera, people. I'm just looking around the bike. It's funny when you're sitting, not moving, it seems intuitive where all the controls are. Once you get going, you're searching for them. So I think this is about a 20-minute loop that we're going to do, but should be more than enough to figure out if this bike is comfortable enough to look at to purchase for my wife and I in retirement. I have to say the saddle is very, very comfortable just to sit on. Ergonomics of the bike are good. The handlebar position, seat position, foot position. I believe you could still put highway pegs on this as you could with the old Goldwing. It'll be interesting to see how this new front end, I won't even give it a term because I can't remember exactly what it is at this time, handles bumps. Apparently when you're braking aggressively on the front, it doesn't dive like the old fork system did. In playing with the bike before we left, I found out you can actually get a full-face helmet, an extra large full-face helmet in the back. I don't think you could actually get two in though. Still has an amazing sound of a blender. I don't know if with this bike you could do the accessory pipes yet, but that would be definitely something some people may want to look at. So it looks like the red line on this bike is about 6,000 RPM. Very, very smooth shifting. You'll probably hear me use the word smooth about 1,000 times. The suspension is very, very nice in the city for the 10 blocks that we've ridden so far. Nice positive shifting. This bike, like the Ultra Classic, has a key fob system. The key fob is in a shelf drawer in the front, in the where the gas tank is. Today we're riding the bike in touring mode. The paint on this bike is beautiful. Riding up ahead of us is a Goldwing with the DCT transmission. And the DCT transmission is a 7-speed, I was told by the Honda rep. Nice bright brake lights on the bags. Would be nice if there was a brake light on the trunk, just for a little more visibility, but it has a very nice look to it. You could definitely see how it's a lot smaller than the old Goldwing was. And again, as I said before, they apparently cut like 90 pounds off the weight of the bike by making the luggage a little smaller, more streamlined, redesigning the chassis and the motor, and of course taking a gallon of gas out of the tank. But apparently it still gets the same range as the old model because it's more fuel efficient. The fit and finish on this bike seems amazing, as you would expect with Honda. The sun is behind us, so I'm looking at this TFT display in direct sunlight, and it's crystal clear. No reflections. Cruising here just outside of town at 60 kilometers an hour. In third gear at about 2,300 RPM. feels like this bike has a lot of torque coming off the line. It's an absolutely beautiful motor. You watch the telescopic, I'll call it, front forks bouncing up and down. It looks kind of weird. We're going to let that car in so we keep the group together, and he has no idea what he's doing. As most Alberta drivers don't, they get out on the road and don't have a plan for where they're going. So it's a nice windy day today, which is perfect. I mean, the only thing better would be if it was raining, because you want to test a bike for touring in the worst possible conditions. Everybody believes it's really nice out in the bright sunshine and calm breeze. And it's nice. Seems very planted. And as I shift into 6th gear, I could definitely tell you that it is a 6-speed. Incredibly smooth shifting. I mean, this bike, compared to others that I've ridden, just feels absolutely effortless. You feel, we're going right now 100 kilometers an hour in 6th gear at 2,000 RPM. You feel no vibration in the handlebars, nothing in the foot pegs, nothing through the seat. It's just, well, I guess for lack of a better comparison, it's like being in a convertible car. It's just so smooth. We'll put the windshield up a little higher and see. Yeah, it's nice. There's no buffeting. Again, I'm 6 feet tall, 34-inch inseam, so I have nice smooth air, no buffeting. We have a wind coming from the left to the right, and I'm not sure what it's gusting at. This morning I think it said gusts up to 30 or 35 kilometers an hour, and the bike is firmly planted. This bike has really large mirrors, almost like car mirrors. I can see right around me. I see a little bit of my shoulder, but I can see all the way around into the other lane. It's very nice. So along with the gear indicator, the modes, the engine temperature, you've of course got your distance till empty, your fuel gauge, multiple trip meters. You have a speedometer and an analog speedometer and tach. You have the TFT display in the middle. Let's see what the music is like. So I'm in my full face helmet with the visor down on a windy day. And it's quite nice. I can hear it just fine. I believe, ooh, that was a big pothole. It absorbed it nicely. This, I believe, has self-canceling turn signals. Oh, she's got some get up and go. Hopefully we hit a road where we can open her up a little bit, but oh, this thing at 100, 110, this thing just cruises along effortlessly, and I'm sure it would be the same with a passenger. The saddle is very, very comfortable. In fact, I would have to say it is the second most comfortable stock saddle I've ever ridden on. The best one was a my Victory Cross Country. Had an amazing stock saddle. Every other bike I've had to either do something with the saddle or buy a different saddle, which is not unheard of, because everyone has their own personal preference as far as ergonomics and what they consider comfortable. I could absolutely see eating up thousands of miles on this bike in comfort. The big question would be, how is the storage? because a lot of its direct competitors have much more storage, such as the Yamaha Star Venture Transcontinental, the Ultra Classic Harley Davidson, the Kawasaki Voyager, which is another bike that I'm looking at. And even though I'm looking at another bike, even though it is not a fully fared Luxo tour like this, but I'm looking at it more from the point of view that it's a form of art. The Moto Guzzi 1400 California Tour, which also comes with a trunk, has top-loading saddlebags, has lots of space, but it has a Lexan windshield. It gives you all the same things as far as touring modes and traction control and ABS and cornering ABS and slipper clutches and everything else, everything you get on all the new bikes that some people like, some people don't. Some people harken back to a simpler day where riding was just, you know, a beanie helmet, bugs in your teeth, no rain gear, and enjoying the open road. I now am old and I prefer Gucci comfort. Why be miserable when you don't have to be? So hopefully when we get on our next road that's going to be going south, we'll be able to open this up a little bit. We're not supposed to slingshot and such. We're going to go down Starkey Road, it looks like. It definitely would not take very long to get used to these, the layout of this bike as far as the controls. This front brake is amazing. I am hitting the front brake with 2 fingers, and you know, I could probably use 1. It has crazy power. Very much similar to my V-Strom. My V-Strom 1000 has amazing front brakes. So this bike has cruise control, as I said, which is on my wish list. I won't set it, obviously for safety reasons, in a group ride, but I'm sure it works just like a car. It has a set, it has a resume, and it has 1 button to turn it on and off. If I'm looking at the Goldwing in front of me, it has really nice full LED lights all around, it looks like. Very bright for the turn signals. This is an incredibly smooth motorcycle. I believe that the Goldwing Tour, which is this one with the trunk, is currently in Canada selling for $32,000, probably $33,000 out the door. And the Goldwing, which is the version without the trunk, used to be called the F6B, I believe is $26,000, probably $27,000 and change out the door. The Harley Davidson Ultra Classic that I rode was $37,000 out the door. The Yamaha Star Venture Transcontinental is $32,000. And the cheapest one is the Kawasaki Voyager, which I used to own a 1700 Nomad, so I know that it's got a proven motor and powertrain. The Voyager, in the winter, I've seen them, you can get them for $16,500. And if you buy it now, in the height of the season, you're going to pay $18,000. Still, $10,000 to $15,000 less than everybody else's bike, if that kind of bike suits your style. Bike handles incredibly. This front end, again, I'm not a technical guy, I am not a mechanic, but having ridden the old Goldwing and F6B and riding this, there is no comparison. This thing is so smooth, absorbs every little bump. It's like you're riding on a magic carpet. Some people may not like that because they will want a more visceral experience on their motorcycle. Other people like me will say, shit, where's this been all my life? So comfortable. I'm sure that my wife would also find the rear seat comfortable, but I can't say, as she is not here today. But it looks like one of these Luxo touring bikes is definitely in my future, albeit a long ways away, say 6-7 years away, so I better start saving my pennies for what these things cost, although these will be the used bikes in 7 years, so hopefully I can find a good deal. Because I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't afford $30,000 to $40,000 for a motorcycle that I can only ride for 5 months of the year, maybe 6 on a good year. Not if I want to stay married. Although my wife would probably say if you want to take the bus and sell your car, you can have it. And given that I'm all about cushy comfort, and like Sheldon Cooper, I don't have bus pants. Oh yeah, she's got some go. I was just in third gear at only 50 kilometers an hour and gave her a little twitch and the whole bike took off. And again, I know I've mentioned it once, but this saddle is unbelievably comfortable. It cups your buttocks and rocks it like a newborn baby. Now that we're only going 70-80K, let's put this windshield all the way down and see what the wind is like. So you get a little more wind in your face that'll cool you off in the lowest position, but no buffeting, and the wind that is coming over is smooth air. So I'll put it back up to where I like it, where I can see over the top by about 2 inches and no noise at all. It's gorgeous. The only problem I see with these test rides I'll be doing over the next few years is once I pick the one I want, how am I possibly going to wait till just before retirement? I'm going to want it right away. Have to make sure I edit that part out so that my wife doesn't see it. So as a short little recap, the bikes that I am considering is a Honda Goldwing, a Harley Davidson Ultra Classic, the Yamaha Transcontinental Package Star, the Kawasaki Voyager, and the Moto Guzzi California 1400 with a trunk from factory. I'm sure any of these bikes will work perfectly as a touring bike with a passenger. It's all a question of your comfort and your size and, most importantly, your budget. What can you afford to spend without breaking the bank? Because in Canada, unfortunately, at the end of the day, when you can only ride this for half the year, it is a toy. And toys need to be affordable. One of the really nice things about all of these bikes that I'm considering is they're all established bikes, so they all have a large number of accessories you can get, such as highway pegs, passenger floorboards, or driver floorboards, assuming that the bike doesn't already come with them. heated grip options, again, if it doesn't come with it. All of these bikes have cruise control. They all have pretty large tanks. They all have lots of storage. They all have a wraparound backrest at the back for the passenger with a trunk. It's a tough choice to make, but it will be a wonderfully fun choice to go through and make. The one thing I don't notice on this bike, and I'm sure it's available if you know how to configure the dash, is outside temperature. I don't see that anywhere. Wow, does this thing tip in? And that was just changing lanes. Oh. Unfortunately, in Alberta, where you can see your dog run away for days, we don't have a lot of curves, so I can't see how planted this would be in the curves. From just the way it's driving now, I would say this new upgrade in the suspension that they've done would be absolutely amazing in the corners, in the twisties. In fact, a lot of people, when I've looked at reviews on the older Goldwings, up to the 17, they have said that it essentially is like a sport bike. Handles like a sport bike. And I would have to say that's probably definitely true. They've, with this redesign, to the uneducated Joe Schmo I am, it definitely seems a little less tour and a lot more sport. Now, whether that was their plan, I know they've been working on it for 4 or 5 years, and of course we saw the demise of the Honda ST1300, which is another bike that I owned in 2005, a red color like this. I don't know if the demise of that bike and non-replacement, as far as I'm concerned, I know Honda came up with the CTX 1300, which was just a horrible looking bike to me, and a horrible driving bike. Sorry, Honda. Maybe that's why they designed this the way they did, because they felt the market wanted something just a little sportier, and it got kind of closed the gap between the ST1300 and the Honda Goldwing. You know, if I could test pack all my crap that I take on a trip, and if it all fit in here, I would definitely probably put a luggage rack on top of the trunk to put a duffel bag up there. This is a serious contender. This is the smoothest riding, nicest performing motor, best suspension bike that I've tested so far. Coming up this summer, I'll be riding the Moto Guzzi California 1400. I've put in my request to do a test ride day with EcoCycle on that one, and that'll probably be all I do this year. I may not get to the Kawasaki Voyager or the Yamaha this year, just based on work and life schedule. And I record all these so that I can think about them later. Think of what my thoughts were at the time of pros and cons. Oh, so we haven't really talked about the cons. Let's do that. So the one con is, of course, luggage space. It looks like it's a lot smaller than it used to be. And again, I don't know the numbers, but you can look that up on the internet. But to me, it looks like it's about 30% less. The back area does look a lot smaller for the passenger, and only my wife will be able to let me know if it's comfortable enough. She has never been on an older style Goldwing, so she'll have nothing to compare it to. She'll just be able to tell me if it's comfortable or not. You again have a smaller gas tank, but that's not really a con, because they say it does get the same mileage, and of course only taking it out on the highway for a day and putting 700 or 800k on it would let me know that. So really there's not a lot of cons. It's about the same price point as the old Goldwing was, maybe a few $100s more. As I said, this bike is incredibly comfortable. Oh, we don't want that one. We're going back over here. Our fearless leader was not sure where we were going, but that's okay, because I am totally lost as well. Oh, I think we want this one now. Inglewood Drive. We're going to come up behind the dealership and our ride will be over in a matter of seconds. I hope you've enjoyed this ride. I hope I've provided a little bit of information from a regular Joe standpoint. Again, sorry that I don't know all the technical information. I didn't stay up all night studying. I would definitely have to say, between the Harley-Davidson Ultra Classic and this bike, as far as motor, chassis, suspension, price point, the Goldwing is way ahead. The only place where it's lacking is, of course, the dealer network, because Harley-Davidson is second to none on the dealer network. And storage. The Harley has way more storage than this does. And until I got my wife on the back, I would not be able to say if the rear accommodations were better on one bike versus the other, so I'm just going to assume, based on what I see, because of course nothing in life happens wrong when you assume something. Just as I lean into this little corner here, it's like a magic carpet ride. I don't know how to explain it. It's very comfortable, very cushy, very smooth. Okay, so we're back at the dealership. I hope you enjoyed the ride, and tune in for our next one.